to measure the internal resistance of a battery pack manually, you need two things. You need a multimeter that can measure voltage and resistance, and you need a load that you can apply to the battery pack. And I've got a couple of power resistors I got from Radio Shack, and I soldered them in parallel, and I put a Dean's micro plug on the end, and just make sure that it can handle the amount of current that's going to be flowing through them. So the first step is to measure the actual resistance on the load, and in my case I measured 5.1 ohms. And then you need to measure the voltage on the battery pack, and you can either do the whole battery pack or one cell at a time. I'm going to do the whole battery pack. And in my case I got 7.9 volts. So then you hook up the load to the battery pack and measure the voltage again, and it's easier to measure it across the balancing plug. And in my case, on the load, it dropped to 6.9, from 7.9. That's a big drop, but this is a really old 2-cell battery pack that I've got. So then once you have your raw data, the formula is pretty simple. You take the voltage difference, multiply it by the resistance in ohms, and divide it by the no load voltage. So it's 7.9 minus 6.9, so that's 1 volt, times 5.1 ohms divided by 7.9 volts. And I get about 0.63 ohms internal resistance. So then you can take that and plug it into the formula from my other video, which is you take the minimum voltage, which is going to be 2 times 3, 2 cells times 3 volts, which is 6 volts total. You divide it by that internal resistance, which is 0.63, and I get about 9.2 amps. So now that 9.2, you can divide it in 2, which is about 5 amps, and that's what you can expect to get if you short it out. Of course, you're going to be destroying it in the process. But if you take 10% of that, again 9.2 divided by 10, and I get about 0.92 amps. That's a good value for the maximum continuous current that this battery pack can handle. And again, this is a really old, it's about a 200 milliamp hour battery pack, so that's reasonable. And till next time.